Well, CCUB's 2025 has come up to our expectations surely, and what we have delivered in terms of the whole event is a memorable experience for the people who participated in it. And we had a clear mission from the day we decided that CCUB will work around some important aspects. And one of the important aspects that we worked around this year was clearly that the panel sessions would be relevant, would also give enough information to the people and knowledge sharing in terms of industry talks, which we had made sure this year had very relevant subject covered on it. The experience at the exhibition area was enhanced clearly. We had better experience clearly at the exhibition centers. Also, what we brought about is the participation of Pharmacom Italia, which was one step of CCUB, and also the signing of the two MOUs, one with NAB CBM as well, was another experience that one cannot forget. And the rewards and recognition program got a little better over the other editions, and as we progress, I'm sure we will do more enhancements, which we will talk in the future.
Last few years, our focus has been on patient safety and the pharma. But in the future, I see agri and agri-based packaging being a huge focus, including last mile and first mile, depending upon how the temperature excursions are very huge in India, and we see Hyderabad or India touching temperatures up to 51 degrees. So I believe first and last mile sector is a focus that CCUB is going to develop. And we saw huge demand this year in terms of the exhibition space. And we believe the current venue might not be able to suffice our demands. So we look forward for the event to grow into a much bigger exhibition and a much bigger space with a much bigger audience and a global impact in the future.
I think this year's edition special was the fact that one of the world's largest brand, Cold Chain Technologies, after their acquisition of companies like Tower Cold Chain, GCC, TPC Packaging, and branding it as Cold Chain Technologies, using Cold Chain Unbroken 2025 as a platform to enter into India is one good reason for it to make it very unique and special. We also had very new entrants who had come into CCUB 2025. For the first time, we had Amazon Air Cargo's presence, we had Gobi Technologies presence, we had Queen Bird Cargo's presence, and we had many others such. And for the first time ever, we had a pharma company supporting the event, which was Mankind Pharma, coming forward to support the event. I think these are some of the things. The list can be much larger.
So the participation and the discussions were quite insightful. We're happy that on the day one, we had around 350 delegates over 25 plus countries, and day two, we had a fresh lot of around 250 to 275 delegates. And I think that is a huge number, and bringing such thought leaders together for 2 days creates huge impact, and the discussions were quite insightful. So we hope to take those discussions forward and make sure that everybody's recommendations are taken place, and make sure we're able to create that impact that we promised to do as Cold Chain Unbroken.
We just concluded the CCUB 2025, which happened to be the 8th edition of CCUB. It was such a memorable 2 days of high-packed action and a great amount of networking that happened. And also what we saw was something which was very different from the previous editions. On the 18th morning, we had the privilege of inaugurating the exhibition. We had the presence of our chief guest, Nikhil Chakravarti, IA and AS Director of Industries. He was accompanied by Mr. Pradeep Panekar, the CEO of the Hyderabad International Airport Limited. Both of them went to each of the stalls, spent some time, understood the various packaging solutions that were being offered, also visited the other stalls like One Shipping Time. And then we had the inaugural session, which started with an opening speech made by Mr. Hemant Sikka, who brought about a lot of important aspects in terms of his learnings in the automotive industry, and also talked about the growth of India and the opportunity lying before us. And then we had the opportunity for Mr. Pradeep Panekar to speak as the guest of honor on the Terminal 2 of cargo going to go live in the month of November, and which is also to tell the world that Hyderabad airport is among the fastest growing airports in the country, and he highlighted the advantages in the location of Hyderabad. We then had the guest of the chief guest for the day, Mr. Nikhil Chakravarti, speak about the Telangana's commitment, the opening of the irrigation facility in joint collaboration with GMR, which is a step towards helping the farmers send their produce, because that was a missing link that has been there for quite some time in the state of Telangana. And it clearly showed that the Telangana government's commitment towards logistics, with the multimodal parks also being discussed during his speech. I think in and all, the inaugural session set the tone for the beginning of CCUB 2025. And then we had the business session 1, which touched upon the important aspect of the geopolitical situation and the opportunity lying for India in such a situation, because as we know that the geopolitics has disrupted air cargo to a very large extent. And I think India, with its great opportunity lying before it, Ramesh Mamidala, who moderated this session, presented some data which was the basis of the discussion. The other fellow speakers who were on that session touched upon very critical aspects of some basic discipline at some areas and the missing link. And what came out very promptly during the thing is pharma continues to be one of the most important air product that is being still and against perishable. Ideally, we would have expected the perishables out of India would have been much more than the pharma, but pharma was continued to be the leading air cargo product as well. But in all, it gave that India has a great opportunity, and we concluded that session. And then we had the business session 2, which was moderated by Keku Bomikazda. But what was the session really focused on was the Indian airports anchoring to become the best place in terms of how the cold chain infrastructure, the pack houses and rest of them can help and anchor air cargo through ecosystem that can be built. We had speakers like Manish Agnihotri speaking about what the learnings he had from his previous assignment at GMR and also his current assignment at WFS, and that infrastructure is what has to come in first, and if infrastructure comes in, rest of the other aspects of cargo coming, and then the demand will also automatically be driven at the same point. And then we went into session number 3. Session number 3 was predominantly revolving around the aspect of sustainability, given that in cold chain there is a great amount of importance on how ESG is in the forefront. We had some amazing inputs coming from 2 women speakers, Chandana from WRI and Vidya James from Kerry Indev. We had Mr. Vijay Bhaskar from Pfizer, who said that we don't have a great option but only to implement the ESG norms, because there is no way that we can say we cannot implement it. I think that session really gave a lot of insights for the importance, and even going forward, whether it's packaging companies, cold chain, that sustainability is the way forward, whether you look at solar panels being used. And we had the last fireside side chat that had happened between Mr. Lanka Kishore from Amazon Air, and I had a great discussion in terms of how air cargo has evolved over so many years, with very primitive way of transportation, very primitive way of storaging, very primitive ways of handling, to a 30 years journey where you can see the infrastructure at the airports really coming a long way. Indian airports are no less than any of the best airports in the world, to the technology and visibility. But there are still areas of improvement clearly. If the customer experience has to be much better in terms of end mile and first mile deliveries, and the learning from some of the express companies in the way they maintain TAT times and delivery. I think with that, the business sessions had come to an end on day one. But I think the exciting part of the day was the Cold Chain Excellence Awards, which were constituted in the last edition. But this edition saw that the Cold Chain Excellence Awards were structured in a much better way. We had called for nominations. The nominations were scrutinized, and the nominations were further presented to the advisory board, and then we had to process the awards. I think it's a first step as a commitment to the cold chain industry that you have independent awards which are clearly researched, and the nominations are taken and the data is certified. And some of the recipients of the awards are the Cold Chain Packaging Company of the Year, which went to Envirotainer. We had recognized individual like Mrs. Chandrakala Bobba was recognized as woman leader in cold chain. We also recognized emerging leaders in the cold chain, Mr. Swaroop Bose as well. And I think what has been the history of cold chain is that the Lifetime Achievement Award has always been very touchy, very emotional, and receiving the award through our chief guest of the day, Mr. Suresh Chukapalli, who's the Honorary Consulate General of Korea and also the chairman for the Phoenix Group as well. The award was conferred on the legend in the air cargo industry, Mr. Vipin Vora, who incidentally completed 50 years in the industry. And I think the occasion was very appropriate on the 50th year to recognize Mr. Vipin Vora of Continental Cargo. And I think we really look forward for his continued support to the cargo industry with his various ventures and various steps that he's been taking to foster air cargo. And we also had lighter moments to share during the evening. People got great opportunity to network, and the day two, which has been happening with a morning run, this year being the 8th edition, we had hosted the 8 kilometers run, which clearly shows our commitment for discipline, good health, and also that it's not about just transporting pharma, but also how do you stay healthy and avoid using medicines as much as possible. And then we went into day two in the morning with the business session, starting off with a business presentation on an industry talk by Christoph, who brought about the importance of thermal blankets, what is the different type of thermal blankets, what opportunities that we get from thermal blankets, and really ensured that people's awareness about picking up the right thermal blanket came in very, very clearly. We went into the business session, and then we had the business session on technology. But what is that in the tech side that is called as this unseen thing that you can seek? We had speakers from very diverse fields. We had Marco, who came in from Italy from a company called MDG. We had Parul Kulshetra, who was from TCS, who's an industry leader and who worked in companies like GMR. We also had Sid Chakravarti, who flew in from New York because he has been running a tech organization. He could give. We had Dr. Orlov from Bajaj Healthcare, who gave good insights, and we had discussed very important aspects of what technology can really do and is it a question of cost, or whether it's a cost cultural issue, or is it a mindset issue. And the session ended on a very good note, clearly talking about the aspect of that technology is here and technology can be deployed to create very clear direction going forward. I think once the technology session was completed, we had the greater opportunity of Mr. Jim Nelson from Cold Chain Technologies throwing out what is the norms in terms of packaging and how packaging needs to be looked at, and what are the WHO norms was the other discussion that we had. And then we had the business session which was specifically focused on cold chain warehousing and the opportunity lying there and the challenges, which was moderated by Arif Siddiqui. Arif Siddiqui has been a great supporter of CCUB for many years. We had fellow speakers from Kiran Gubba from Gubba Cold Storage, Chandrakala Bobba from Bobba Group. Then we had Mr. Yatish Agarwal, who came from Crystal Group. And then we had Shalab, who was from INA Farms, being a major exporter of perishable. I think that session was again clearly one solid message that came out of that session was that India unfortunately uses the least amount of packaging in terms of less any country, and which clearly goes to show that India as a country doesn't really emphasize of a good packaging when it comes to fruits and vegetables, and unless there's a statutory mandate, packaging is not given the due importance, and which is a good opportunity to see how you can get good packaging solutions at affordable prices for fruits and vegetables, which will result in much safer transportation and also lesser damage to the products. We then broke out for lunch, and then we had the last two sessions which had amazing topics. One was on transshipment, given the recent circular by the Director General of Civil Aviation and BCAS, talking about the new norms for transshipment, which had Zahir Bakshi from Dial. We had Giridharan Srinivasan from Etihad. We had Bala, who is the founder and CEO for AICS. And then we had Mr. Kamal Jain from Cargomen. I think one thing came out clearly is India needs to come out of the policy paralysis and look at how transshipment can be really made seamless, whether it is through use of technology or whether it is in terms of using the same warehouse for import and export, and not looking at transshipment in any other angle. The domestic angle still is relatively easier to handle, but the international angle is something which we should be exploring. And we went into the last session for the day, which was on ocean freight. Given the fact that many of the customers have started to prefer to use ocean cargo over the years, given that you stuff it at the customer's place and you deliver at the customer's place. We had excellent speakers. The session was moderated by Mr. Jayaraman Radhakrishna, an independent consultant. We had Vivek Sharma from Zim, Ashish Agarwal from Maersk, Jeba Kumar from CMA CGM, and Krishna Kumar from MSC, and Mr. Parvinder Rana from InSwift Laboratories. I think the session clearly came out with a clear message that there are new ships coming up, there's going to be lesser pollution, there is going to be many value added aspects that the shipping lines are looking at end of the day, and really they are very customer focused in terms of what they can offer to the customers. I think with this the business sessions were done. We had a concluding session where we recognized our sponsors, we recognized our exhibitors, we recognized our media partners, we recognized the hospitality partners, and everyone who was part of CCUB in any way were duly recognized in the concluding session. And we definitely think any event cannot be successful without its partners, and CCUB 2025 has probably been one more successful year of what we have bought together, having launched a few new companies through CCUB. The one key message that we would want as CCUB to give is that the learning process and knowledge enhancement that one has to do to be relevant in any field is what they should take up, because this year's event, that was what was one of the focus area, is that how do you enhance and the knowledge of the participants with giving them information which will help them on a day-to-day functioning. I think clearly that's a message that we would want to give, that Cold Chain Unbroken is what we would consider as one of the greatest thought leader and knowledge sharing platform.
I am glad that this year's edition was a huge success, and we'll make sure that the next year's event is bigger, better and more impactful. Looking forward to seeing you all next year.